Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. The table shows three values of x and their corresponding values of y for the linear relationship between x and y. The x-intercept of the line occurs when x equals to -4. The number d is a negative constant. The number k is a constant. What is the value of dk? Okay, there is an information. The x-intercept of the line occurs when x equals to -4. We know that at the x-intercept of any line, the y coordinate is 0. And we have this value -4 for x over here. So when x equals to -4, y must be 0 because we have the x-intercept at x equals to -4. So instead of this 4k positive 6d, we can consider 0 over here. So there is a 4k positive 6d, 6d equals to 0. Now let's solve for k in this equation. Then we have to subtract 6d from both sides of the equation. Then this positive 6d, negative 6d will cancel out. I am getting 4k equals to negative 6d. Let me divide both sides of the equation by 4. Then this 4 will cancel out. Here 2 goes into 4 2 times and 2 goes into 6 3 times. I am getting k equals to negative 3d over 2. Okay, here once I get the value of d, I can plug in over here and get the value of k. Then we have to multiply the values of k and d to get the value of dk. Now let's consider the information we have over here. There is linear relationship between x and y. The graph of the linear relationship is always a line, and the slope of a line is a constant. That is, when we get the slope of a line at any point on the line, it will be same. Okay, now let me get the slope of the line using the first 2 points in the table. Okay, now let me write the first 2 points are -7 comma d positive 3, and the second point is -4 comma 0. Okay, I take the first point as x1, y1 and the second point as x2, y2. When we have 2 points on a line, there is a formula to get the slope, that is m equals to y2 negative y1 divided by x2 negative x1. Now let me plug in the values over here. For y2 we have 0, negative. For y1 we have d positive 3. And for x2 we have -4, negative. The value of x1 is -7. Okay, now let me continue here. M equals to let's distribute this negative sign to this d and positive 3. Then I'm getting negative d, -3 divided by -4. Negative times negative is positive 7. Then I'm getting m equals to negative d, -3 divided by 3. Okay, here I got the slope of the line m, that is a negative d, -3 over 3. Okay, now let me get the slope of the same line using the next 2 points, that is second point and third point. Let me write over here -4 comma 0, and the other point is 1 -3d comma 8. I take this is x1 y1 and this is x2 y2. Now let me use the same formula. In this formula we have to plug in the values for y2 y1 x2 x1. Then I'm getting 8 -0 in denominator, 1 -3d negative. The value of x1 is -4. I'm getting m equals to 8 -0 is 8 and 1 -3d positive 4. Then I'm getting m equals to 8 divided by, when I combine this 1 and 4, I'm getting 5 -3d. Okay, here I got the slope of the line in two ways. That is using the first 2 points and using the next 2 points. As I said already, the slope of a line is a constant. That is, at any point on the line, the slope will be same. So the slope I got over here, the slope I got over here must be equal. Okay, now let me equate the two slopes. Then I'm getting negative d, -3 over 3 equals to 8 over 5 -3d. Now let's do some cross multiplication. Then I'm getting negative d, -3 times 5 -3d. On the right side, we have 8 times d. Now we can multiply these two binomials using the FOIL method. Let me multiply the first terms, negative d times 5. I'm getting negative 5d. Negative d times -3d will be positive 3d square. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. And negative 3 times negative 3d is positive 9d equals to 24. Okay, now let's rearrange the terms on the left side over here. Let me write this 3d square at first. Then we can combine this negative 5d, positive 9d. I am getting positive 4d. Then we can write the constant negative 15 equals to 24. Let me subtract 24 from both sides of the equation. Okay, let me do it. Then this positive 24, negative 24 will cancel out. I am getting 3d square, positive 4d. When I combine negative 15 and negative 24, I am getting negative 39. On the right side, we have 0. Here, we have a quadratic equation in standard form in terms of the unknown d. I think this quadratic equation can be solved by factoring. For that, we have to multiply the constant term by the coefficient of d square. When I multiply negative 39 and 3, I am getting negative 117. Now I have to get two factors over here so that the product of the two factors equals to negative 1 and 17 and the sum of the two factors equals to the coefficient of d, that is a positive 4. I think positive 13 and negative 9 will work. When I multiply them, I am getting negative 1 and 17. When we add them, we get a positive 4, that is a coefficient of d. Further, we have to divide both the factors over here by the coefficient of d square, that is 3. Okay, here 13 is not divisible by 3, so we have to take this one as it is. When I divide this negative 9 by 3, I am getting negative 3. Okay, here to get the two values of d in this quadratic equation, what I have to do is I have to change the signs of these two factors. Now let me consider the first one. It's already positive. When I change the sign, it will be negative. That is the first value of d is a negative 13 over 3. Now to get the second value of d, I have to change the sign of this factor. Already it's negative. When I change the sign, it will be positive 3. Okay, here I got two values for d. One is negative 13 over 3 and other one is positive 3. But there is an information that number d is a negative constant. Since d is a negative constant, we can reject the positive value of d. We can consider the negative value of d, that is negative 13 over 3. Okay, now let me erase this stuff and continue the problem. Let's plug in this value negative 13 over 3 for d over here to get the value of k. Okay, let me do it. That is k equals to negative 3 times negative 13 over 3 divided by 2. Here 3 goes into 3 one times and 3 goes into 3 one times. K equals to negative times negative is positive. 1 times 13 is 13. That is 13 over 1. It can be written as 13. In denominator, we have 2. Okay, here I got the value of k. Already we have the value for d. Now, what we have to do is we have to get the value for dk, that is d times k. D times k equals to the value for d is negative 13 over 3 and the value of k is 13 over 2. Then d times k equals to negative 13 times 13 is negative 169 and 3 times 2 is 6. Therefore, the value of d times k is negative 169 over 6.